Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
The United States Supreme Court refuses to hear a moment of silence case, thus allowing the Federal Court of Appeals decision to stand, upholding a moment of silence. I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Joining me is Matt Barber, the vice president of Liberty Counsel Action. Matt, this is a good situation where the Supreme Court of the United States released its decisions as to whether to take a particular case, and in this particular situation decided not to take a case that came out of Chicago that was decided by what's known as the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals that actually happens to sit primarily in Chicago, in Illinois, but it also governs other states as well. And that was a situation where it upheld a moment of silence or a silent prayer or silent reflection at the start of each day in a public school. That was upheld by the Court of Appeals. The persons who filed suit, the Atheist, asked the Supreme Court to review the case, and the Supreme Court said no.
And that's really good news. That leaves the Seventh Circuit's opinion in place. And it also, again, the legislature here representing, the people, we the people, the will of we the people was that this moment of silence should be allowed and time should be allotted so that students can have this moment to pray or reflect or whatever they hope to do. This atheist activist, Rob Sherman, has been causing trouble in the Chicago area for decades. I lived in Chicago for years and followed a lot of his troublemaking while I was there. But so I take a little personal satisfaction in seeing him kind of being turned away here. But this is good news, and it kind of ties into some of what we were talking about yesterday, this assault on religious liberty that we see playing itself out in the courts and in the public schools and elsewhere. It's encouraging to me to see that the courts are upholding what the Constitution actually says and not playing into the hands of these atheist activists.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the state legislators in 2007, by an overwhelming majority, passed this moment of silence law, and it says that every day at the start of the school day in the Illinois public schools, that it should start with a, quote, silent prayer or silent reflection, close quote. So you can have prayer, you can have reflection, you can think about whatever. You can use this time also, obviously, for prayer. Well, following that, Dawn Sherman, who is a Buffalo Grove High School student and the daughter of the atheist Rob Sherman, who has been a persistent gadfly in Illinois and also around the country, but he's an atheist, filed suit claiming that it takes away from learning and it wastes time and it's unconstitutional. Well, in 2009, a federal district judge, Robert Gettleman, ruled the law unconstitutional, saying that the moment of silence was endorsing religion and sought to introduce prayer in school, issued an injunction. That was appealed to the Federal Court of Appeals, and by a 2-1 decision, the Court of Appeals reversed it, upholding the law. And Judge Daniel Mannion on the Federal Court of Appeals said, quote, nothing in the text limits students' thoughts during the period of silence. The text mandates only one thing, silence, close quote. Well, the fact of the matter is now the Supreme Court has denied review. That means the ruling of the Court of Appeals will stand, and this law is in effect as we speak. And
you have to wonder, Matt, how have we gotten to this point where these atheist activists and secular humanists and secular socialists and leftists in general insist that schools not only avoid endorsing religion, but they insist that they establish and display hostility toward religion and affirmatively quash individuals, students here in this case in schools, their free exercise of religion, which is guaranteed by the First Amendment. So they're saying, school district, by your not actually going in and affirmatively quashing their ability and rights to free exercise of religion, you are there somehow by your inaction endorsing religion. So by simply allowing this moment of silence to take place, of course that's not an endorsement of religion. Anybody with a modicum of intelligence recognizes this. So that's not really what the argument is about here. The argument is about pushing religion back into the churches, behind closed doors in people's homes, and removing any religious expression from any public forum. That's the true goal.
Well, it's really astounding that Rob Sherman, and he's not the only one, others like the ACLU have filed suit against moment of silence laws, and others have done so as well. Freedom from Religion Foundation, those organizations that are just off the charts on the church and state issue, they want to ignore the original understanding of the Constitution. To think that a moment of silence is somehow an establishment of religion, or a moment even of silent prayer somehow establishes a religion. What religion does it establish? If you're saying that individuals can take 2 minutes at the beginning of each school day or a minute at the beginning of each school day, you're going to have a moment, everyone's going to be silent. They're not telling you to bow your heads or fold your hands.
They're not saying recite the Lord's Prayer with us or you're going to the principal's office.
That's right. There's no particular recitation of any kind of religious doctrine.
Right.
It's a moment of silence, and that obviously is part of our history and heritage. Now, that time can be used for a lot of things. It can be used to pray, obviously, but that's up to the individual. No one's forcing them to pray. No one's telling them the content of their prayer. It can be used just to quiet the class down, bring the class to order so you can start the new day.
Yeah.
Now, Rob Sherman may think it's a waste of time, but our founders didn't think that praying to God or having God as part of our foundation was a waste of time, and it was because of the fact that God is and Judeo-Christian principles are part of our foundation that America became such a great nation so quickly.
Well, you underscored the point I made earlier. Absolutely. That shows that there is a hostility toward religion.
Yeah, they don't want to accommodate religion.
No.
They want to just steamroller right over the top of
silence it. They don't even want kids to have the opportunity to pray. If there's any chance that they could pray, and this isn't a time to stop and pray to the monotheistic Christian God time. It's a moment of silence, as you mentioned, to think, to reflect, to pray, to twiddle your thumbs, to do whatever, and simply because there's even a chance or an opportunity that a student might take advantage of that time to connect with our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and that's what it's really about. It's not hostility toward religion in general.
Right.
It's a hatred of Christianity that I think motivates and drives this assault on our First Amendment.
When I was arguing at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals in the case of Adler versus Duval County School Board, defending a policy that said at graduation students could have 2 minutes at the beginning and or at the end of graduation to have a message of their choice. And the class could vote on whether or not they wanted a student to give a message, and then they would select the student, and the student gave a message of his or her choice. The school would not censor it or pre-review it. That was being challenged. We also ultimately won that. But during the oral argument, the ACLU was asked a question, and it was sort of a hypothetical about just graduation speakers in general. And the ACLU attorney was asked by the Chief Judge Schoflat saying, what happens if the school wanted to invite Billy Graham? Not knowing what he was going to say, what would be the result? They said, oh, you can't do that. Why? He said, well, because of his past, it's likely he would say something religious, Christian. And they said, well, what happens if the school wanted to invite Jane Fonda? And he said, yes, they could invite Jane Fonda because based on her past, it's unlikely she would say something religious during graduation. So the judge said, you mean they've got to look at the past of this person, all the statements that they've made, the possible tendencies, and if there is a slight chance they would say something religious, they would not be eligible to speak at graduation? And the ACLU shockingly said yes.
Thought police. I mean, that is a perfect example. That is so Orwellian. And the ACLU, which purports to be a defender of civil liberties, I've never heard such a misappropriately named organization, the American Civil Liberties Union. These are the thought police saying that simply because a person has a past of being an advocate for the Christian faith, that they have to be censored and pushed away and prohibited from speaking. That is chilling.
It really is. Well, give us a call at Liberty Counsel at 1-800-671-1776. You can also go to our website at lc.org, and you can order some of our materials. We've got the book Take Back America. It's a reprint with updated information, 2011, Take Back America, one of the books that I've released. And then also we have the book Resurgent. This is by Ken Klukowski and Ken Blackwell, and it's a great book called Resurgent. And I would encourage you to get that book as well. You can get that at Liberty Counsel's store right there online at lc.org. You can also sign up for the Liberator and the Liberty Alert right there on the front page, as well as our Grassfire Action email. You can also text us at 20222 and in the subject line put down LC for a contribution of $10.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.